Bonjour, Gajeb Kanwea, Jikini Woodishna Kaz Mali and Dodem. Kikonangajo Dana Dunjaba. Just doing a quick community update with respect to some questions out there around finances. I just want to first start by saying that all the audits that we've had here have been clean audits, otherwise known as unqualified audits. That's the case this year as well. We will have another clean audit. Our First Nations in very good financial standing. As an example, our annual operating budget has gone up by $5 million in the last 4 years. That's an improvement, and that is a lot more employees, a lot more jobs, a lot more consultants as well, because it's a very large First Nation, a large operation that takes much hands to get the job completed. With respect to our investment portfolio, we've seen an increase of $15 million in the last 3 or 4 years. Great increases in our First Nation, great benefit to our community. With respect to finance staff that have recently retired and moved on to higher callings, if there's any questions about that, you should reach out to them directly. Staff have worked here for many years and are due their time to retire and retire in peace without being disrupted or disturbed. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I think you'll notice that the members that moved on recently from finance have gone on to higher callings and are still serving the community in different ways. The COVID-19 funding and the spending around that. COVID-19 funding was and is earmarked in various different ways. Not all funding is discretionary and not all funding is able to be distributed to community members. Some of it is earmarked for things like education, medical supplies, administration, healthcare. It's all different. And to use that in ways that aren't permitted will be what's called misappropriation of funds, and we're not about that. We have a very strict, robust financial system in the community, and things are done appropriately and funds have been spent appropriately. Not to mention, our understanding of COVID-19 has varied greatly from the beginning to what it is now. In the beginning of COVID-19, much of the focus globally was on food security, food shortages, supply shortages, sanitation. It was around making sure our community was safe. Much of those funds went to the community closures, paying the volunteers for being at the gates. To add to that, during the first wave of the pandemic and for many months, staff were paid to stay at home, to stay safe, to protect themselves in the vulnerable situation that we were in. Our understanding of that has changed and staff are working now. The accessibility of rapid testing and PCR testing, vaccinations, and personal protective equipment has improved greatly. But for those staff that did go out, work on the front lines, and were essential workers, being required to go out and work in the face of everybody else, be at the band office, be at the health center, be at Child and Family Services, they were offered the opportunity to apply for an increase in pay during that time based on their exposure and the elevated level of risk that they took during various waves of the pandemic. Our audit will be released soon. It's not entirely completed yet, but as the auditors are working on that, they have assured us that everything is good and it's a good, clean audit. I'm just going to leave it there for right now. There's been some questions about how we invest in the CapEx funds. There's many more funds beyond the CapEx fund, and what I'm going to do is subsequent to this video is I'll have staff post a copy of the investment policy so the community can get a look at that and try and understand the intricate workings of our band finances. We also have a very strict financial law in the community called the Financial Management Bylaw, which can be found posted on the First Nations Gazette. So Chimiwech for tuning in. I'm going to do my best to make sure all these rumors and questions are dispelled and try and keep you informed. So Chimiwech for tuning in.